lot of Bears fans on Twitter panicking, in the Bears world, right, panicking. And I think it's okay, right? Like, me and Coach T have a difference of opinion on what we feel the Chicago Bears should be doing as far as getting Justin touches, right? I believe you got to get him more touches. I believe that you got to get him more involved in the game. I believe that there's no way to me, it's an injustice for you to say we're going to bring this guy in and evaluate him based on 11 passes. That's an injustice, right? And so for me, right, I look at Justin Fields' situation. I say, I want to see a little bit more. There's a difference of opinion on the intelligence side, but Bears fans are panicking. Remember after week 1, they said we were going to be a 3-win team. We've already got 1. We're going to win these games. We're going to beat these guys. And then week 2 comes around and we get beat by the Packers. And it's, oh my God, we're the worst team football's ever seen. And it's history. And do y'all remember Matt Nagy last season? Have we forgotten? Here's my thing. No matter what, your goal this season is not Super Bowl. I don't care about the mentality of the old school. We're Chicago. We have to have a higher standard for ourselves. No, we don't. The last team that was in a championship was the Chicago Sky, and half of the people in here didn't even support them. We haven't sniffed a championship since what? The Cubs? That standard is no longer here. That's 1985. That's 1998. That's 2005. And on the baseball sides, they were fluke years. Your goal this season is to go out there, game in and game out, and develop the talent that's on this field that's going to be there for a while. And that's why I have issue with how they did Justin Fields last week. But here's the thing at the end of it. When I look at the talent on the defensive side of the ball that was brought in, and some of the talent on the offensive side of the ball that we currently have here. When I look at Khalil Herbert, guess what? Khalil Herbert ran the ball pretty well. He didn't even get that many attempts to do it. He's probably going to be around long term. When I look at David Montgomery, a young back who I wouldn't pay him, but maybe the Chicago Bears will. 120 yards. He ran the ball well. Through an 8-man front. Listen, you do that all season, you can stay around as long as you want. But here's why I tell Bears fans, stop with the panic. Stop with the, oh my God, we're going to be awful. We're going to be terrible. There's no way we're going to win this. Shut up. Because you're not, if you go back and you watch the tape, guess what? The Chicago Bears got pressure. With rushing four on Aaron Rodgers. You know what the difference in last week's game was? Aaron Rodgers is pretty good. Run defense, that's another story. There's some things that you have to develop there. Kyler Gordon, there's some things you have to develop there. But I told y'all this coming into the season, and there's these same people that want to continue to cry and wait and say, we couldn't beat the Packers. We couldn't. Did you think we were going to be that level of football team coming into this season? Here's the one thing that you need to focus on. Are your players developing? Your defense had an ability to rush 4. Jaquan Brisker looks like he's moving in the right direction. Dominique Robinson looks like a pretty good player. Braxton Jones did a good job. These are rookies. I'm naming you rookies. Are there some rookies on this team that need to step up? Yeah, Kyler Gordon. Don't like his performance. But at the end of the day, this is a season that is about development. We knew that coming into this year. Some of y'all said we were going to be a 6-win team. What are you crying about? Some of y'all said we were going to be a 4-win team. What are you crying about? And guess what? I still see the comments on the video. They still pop up. I know who y'all are. This season is all about development. Now, if you want to have beef with how they did Justin Fields, I'm here to have that conversation. To me, that's a logical conversation as long as we're having it a logical way. But I don't look at the Chicago Bears giving Justin Fields 11 opportunities to pass the ball and say, that's a good way to develop your quarterback. I don't believe in that. Because you know what? Your quarterback had opportunities to make plays, and he was too scared to pull the trigger. He didn't understand what he was seeing. That's where you want to improve your team. That's where you want to see development week to week. And you know what else? Here's the one thing about the Chicago Bears that I've told you guys all offseason, coming into this season, training camp, preseason, whatever it is. At the end of the day, you're not playing Aaron Rodgers every freaking week. Put that same pressure next week on Davis Mills and see what happens. They better have a heck of a run game. Go out there and put that same pressure on Davis Mills next week and see what happens. Go out there and put that pressure in 2 weeks on Daniel Jones and see what happens. Mixed coverage is there. See what happens, right? This isn't about this season. Why are we acting like this is about this season? I think the Bears are a 9-win football team. Guess what? After Sunday, I still thought the Bears were a 9-win football team. I said we'd beat San Francisco, and I said we'd lose to Green Bay. Don't just because Green Bay is the team that you faced off against, all of a sudden you want to have a conniption. If it was Buffalo, you wouldn't have been crying this loud. If it was Minnesota, you wouldn't have been crying this loud. Heck, if we had lost week 1 to San Francisco, y'all wouldn't have been crying this loud. You want to stop getting your butt kicked by the Packers? Develop your team. Flus wants to develop his team. Poles wants to build a young team. It ain't about rushing to give up picks. It ain't about rushing to give up money. It ain't about rushing to build something right overnight. You want to beat the Packers long term? We beat the Packers in seasons. Heck, Mitch beat the Packers. What does that mean? At the end of the day, I want to beat the Packers year after year after year the way that they put it on us. So please, God, get off Twitter if you want to whine about week 2 of a brand new NFL season in which a quarterback comes in and is running an entirely new scheme and he didn't look up to your liking. If we get to December, January, February, okay, then we can have that conversation. He's not moving in the right direction. I don't like what I've seen. If we get there, let's have that conversation. But we're in week 2 of the NFL season. Why are y'all panicking? You know who we play next week? Y'all know who we got Sunday? We got the Houston Texans. We're going to win. I 110% believe the Chicago Bears come out of that game with a win. There isn't a doubt in my mind, there isn't an inkling in my mind that Lovie Smith figures out a way to do something offensively that throws us off. And here's the other thing on the other side of it, right? We've seen quarterbacks try to protect, or we've seen coaches try to protect their quarterback, right? The Bears are trying to protect Justin Fields right now. Do I like it? I don't. I'm not talking about your protection up front. I'm talking about in the court of public opinions. They're trying to protect him in the court of public opinions because if he goes out there in week 2 versus the Packers, you guys are going to lose your minds, and it's going to be, oh my God, Justin Fields looked terrible against the Packers. He's going to be the worst quarterback ever. You know how I know? Because he only threw 11 passes, and you guys are saying the same freaking things. To me, after watching game 1 and game 2, of course, game 1 very different, right? But after watching that second game, they're trying to protect this kid. Guess what? I bet you next week this coming week versus this Houston Texans team, a defense that he's been seeing his entire all offseason, preseason, right? Everything that he's been practicing against. You'll see Justin throw the ball a little bit more. You'll see this offensive line look a little bit better. because they know what to expect. Oh, by the way, Lucas Patrick is taking snaps. There's some news for you Bears fans. Lucas Patrick was snapping the ball today at training in practice. So listen, you're moving in the right direction. This Bears team is moving in the right direction. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Guess what? There's people, this comment here. Guess what? Play calling against Green Bay sucked. Listen, I'm willing to have that debate with you. I think Luke Getsy let you down when you're talking about a defense that was allowing you not only just, this is why I say go look at the tape. It wasn't just allowing you to run the ball well. There were times where Justin Fields could have pulled the trigger. I think if you're getting opportunities to pull the trigger, you keep putting those opportunities on the field to pull the trigger. I'm not saying have Justin drop back 30, 40 times. I'm saying you allow him to get off 20 passes at a minimum. I said 20 passes. You want to know what system? You want to see what a dominant Bears team could look like? Look at what we played on the other side of the field. Because Aaron Rodgers didn't do all the killing on Sunday. He threw the ball 25 times and completed it 19. And that's it. He threw the ball 25 times, completed 19 of them. He didn't kill the Bears. The running game killed the Bears. That's the system you're going to be running. And that's what you want to see. And you want to have that mix. Los with the hoodie said, why aren't we running the ball more often? Listen, how much more often you want them to run the ball? You got 120 rushing yards out of Monty. You got 38 more yards out of Khalil Herbert. Right? Like at the end of the day, it's about development. It's about moving forward. And this is why I keep saying, Bears fans, stop panicking. Khalil Herbert looked good. David Montgomery looked good. Your offensive line in Run Pro looked really good. Were there some issues in Pass Pro? There's issues on the line. There's issues with Justin. Those are things that got to be worked out. I'm not saying it was a perfect night. But what I am saying is we're in week 2. It's not going to be a perfect night. There's a lot of teams that didn't have a perfect night in week 2 of the NFL season. What are we talking about? Hit that like button if you agree, man. Hit that like button if you agree, man. Shout out to y'all for tuning in and rocking with your boy. We got a lot more to get into today, man. Here's the thing. Justin didn't look good. Justin didn't look good. And that's what it comes down to, right? How